Hello and welcome to another video, which is part of the Algorithmic Trading School for the cTrader trading platform. Now today I'm going to explain an overview of creating a new cTrader cBot. So a cBot would be used mostly for automated trading or semi-automated trading. So I'm going to jump straight in and go and show you how to actually get ahead and do it. So you'll see in cTrader on the chart now, what I'm going to do is go to the Automate tab down here bottom left. Automate is where you do all your algorithmic trading or creating your robots or indicators. Now click on the cBot link up there, make sure it's selected as cBot. cTrader, when you install the cTrader platform, they automatically install sample cBots. And this gives you an idea of how to actually write your code. But if you're new to trading or new to coding, and this is completely new to you, we're going to start off very basic, step by step, showing you how to create your own bots. But you can always revert back to any of these sample ones here, like a sample break even. It is written in a way that can be a little bit complex. Now, code can be written complex or simple. We're going to write it simple to make it easier for people to follow. So what I'm going to do is straight away create the new cBot. Now, if I click new, that's going to create a new cBot. I just get rid of the sample there. If I scroll to the bottom of the page, it's got it down here. I'm going to call it my cBot. Always a good idea to name your cBot something descriptive. Okay, so I just type my to clear off all the others. So it's always a good idea to create your cBot and name it something which is closer to what you want to try and achieve. Now, what I'm going to do is go through the steps, explaining this structure of code to you in very simple terms. And then I'm going to just do a quick modification and then run the cBot to show you what it does. Now, when you create a new cBot with cTrader, using cTrader Automate, it uses a programming language called Microsoft C#, one of the most popular programming languages in the world. It's one of the most featured ones. It's got a lot of things that you can do with it. So it's not like MetaTrader, which is a cut down version or a homemade sort of programming language. This is a world-class used programming language used by a lot of professional programmers. And it's also used by a lot of hobbyists, and it's also perfect for the cTrader platform for you to learn how to write the code because the syntax is easy to follow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to the top here and it's got the using tabs. Now, all of these, pretty simple. They're just including like libraries for when you're writing your code, you can get access to features that have been pre-written. So it's almost like why rewrite the, why remake the wheel? You've got something that's already there that you can use. So it would be things like the APIs. All of these APIs are actually interfaces into the cTrader platform. Anything to do with manipulating text will be done with this one. Link is just a way of actually interrogating data. And then you've got the system objects. So it's a very good way of actually accessing external code that's been pre-written, like shelf, where you just grab it and reuse it. I'll go through that in another video, explain in more detail. The first thing you'll see here is a thing called namespace. Now, this is just a namespace that's used to define a block of code or a structure. Before I continue, also for this basic overview of a cBot, I'm actually going to do it with the cTrader editor that you can see here. In our future videos, I'm going to use Microsoft Visual Studio Community Edition, which is a excellent code editing tool that you can use. And I'll go through alternative code editing tools you can use as well. And I'll also go through the reasons why it's better to use Visual Studio over the code editor in cTrader, but also the code editor in cTrader is more than enough, I think, for most people like you that are going to write code. So you have the choice really to use either one. Okay, so first thing you've got here is an attribute at the top. If you've already looked at our previous video, which is a cTrader indicator overview, it's very similar structure. And I'll go through that at the end of this video. I'll show you where you can get access to all the other videos that you'll need. It's a very similar structure. It's just a few changes. Okay, so access rights means that access rights none means that your cBot has 0 access rights to the operating system. So if you want to do things like send Telegram alerts or anything else like that, it's not possible. You'd have to actually give it full access. Okay, if you set it to none, it means that it works in like a sandbox. Okay, so you've got the next line of code, which is class. It creates a class object and it inherits the robot object. What that means is in this code now, you've got a few methods. One here, it's called onStart. Okay, on tick and on stop. Now these are methods that you're going to connect to the cTrader platform itself. So when the cTrader platform starts, it will start calling this block of code. Every time there's a change in price, it handles the price updates here in on tick. So every time there's a tick of data coming into the chart, this method gets called. What I mean by that is anything you write in here will get executed when you first start the cBot. Anything you write in here will get executed every time there's a tick of data. And everything you write in here on stop will get executed when the cBot stops. So this will get executed many times, probably many times per second, because the data is constantly updating. This will only get executed once when it starts, and this will get executed once when it stops. There is another one. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to copy this line of code, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to call that onBar. Now what onBar does is every time a candle closes, so every time a bar or a candle closes on the chart, this method gets called. So if you have a 1 minute time frame, that means that the candles are created every minute. So every minute you have a new candle. So every minute this method will get called once. If you have a 1 hour time frame on a chart, every candle is 1 hour, which means that this method of code, block of code, will get called every hour. Okay, so it's very useful if you're doing some kind of logic where you only want it to be at the end of a candle close, you want to analyze the previous candle's data and decide how to do trade decisions on it. You might want to use onTick, where every time a bit of data comes in, you might have a trailing stop loss, or you might have some kind of risk management that you don't want to wait, say 1 hour, if it's a 1 hour time frame. You want it to happen immediately. That's where you would use the onTick. Now the onStop you could just use for clearing up data or anything else. Okay, so what we're going to do, last thing I didn't explain was the parameters. And to do that, I'm just going to build this cBot. Okay, it'll build in a minute. And once it's built, I'm just going to add a cBot instance. So to run a cBot, you need to add an instance. This is if you're using cTrader Automate. So I'm just going to add a currency symbol. Now you can see there it's got a parameter called message, and it says hello world. Now if I go back to the code, the parameter default value is hello world, and you can actually specify the name. At the moment it's taking the name message, but you've got other attributes that you can add to the parameter that's up here. So I can actually choose, if I click this down, the name of the parameter. So I could put it anything I want. So I'm going to call it print message. Okay, so if I click as print message and then build it, and then I look at the value here, it's now called print message. So it allows you to actually specify your parameters in more detail. Now I'm going to go back to some of the sample ones, and I'm just going to show you some of the parameters in the samples and how they're used. That'd be much easier to do it that way. So if I go to the break-even one, maybe I get something a bit easier. Okay, I'm going to go back to the break-even one. Okay, so in here you've got 3 parameters: position ID, add pips, and trigger pips. So the name that you choose there is different than the name that you actually specify there. Now you can see that you can decide the property type. I think in a way it might be a good idea me doing a separate video at some point explaining parameters for indicators and cBots and going into it in more detail. I think I'll put one of those together, because then I can show you the different types of parameters that you can add to a cBot. You can also set the default value and the minimum value. So if you do add pips, it says double. That means that it's actually a value. I'll show you quickly. Now if I go there, it's got add pips, you've got an integer value, and you've got a trigger value. You can do maximum and minimums as well. But the whole idea of doing parameters here is that in your cBot that you're going to create, you can add user-defined parameters or user settings. So in our scenario, if I go back to our cBot that we just created, in here, what I'm going to do is do a quick bot that will actually execute a market order depending on the volume and stop loss and take profit that you were going to set as a parameter. So at the moment, if you run this, it'll just print a message to the log file, which is print message. So if I click on here again and I run it, and I look at the log, it's just printed hello world to the log. Okay, it doesn't do anything else. And if I go back to the code, so what we're going to do now is we're going to open up and execute a market order only when the cBot starts, not on tick or onBar. You could move it to onBar. That means every time a candle closes, it will execute a market order. But I'm going to do the onStart because it means that it will start straight away. So what I'm going to do is specify the parameters that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this to lot size, or volume. I'm going to call this double. So this would be your position size. And the default value 0.01. Okay, so just build it, make sure that it's there. Volume, what would be lot size actually, 0.01. Okay, so what I'm going to do also is go back to the sample and show you some of the actual settings there. And I'm just going to copy them because normally I just copy and paste. It's a lot easier. So if I actually go back to the sample code, and I click something like a break-even bot, I'll do the martingale bot. We've got it. So if you just pick up another project that's already there, it's already got the code in there that you can just copy. So a lot of coding that's done with programmers is copy and paste. So I've got this pre-written here for the samples. I'm going to copy the whole lot. I'm going to go back to my cBot. I'm actually just going to paste it over the top of this. Okay, so now we've got 3 parameters. If I show you it here, we've got initial volume in lots, stop loss and take profit in pips. If I go back now, you can see it's got a thing called group. One's called volume, one's called protection, and the other one's called protection. This allows you to group your parameters. So if I go back to the cBot, you can see they're grouped. Volume is here, protection is these two. So it's nicely kind of grouped your parameter settings there. Okay, so in here it's pretty straightforward. The default value is 1, the min value is 0.01, and it steps by 0.0, and every time you click on it, it moves 0.01. Now, because I've got a big account size, 814,000, a lot size of 1 is okay, but if you've got like a 1,000 unit or pounds account size, you want to start with a volume of 0.01 because 1 will be too high. So it's got here stop loss. Actually, I'm going to change that to 0.01 anyway, just in case you accidentally do that and you're stuck. It's got a stop loss, a default value of 40. I'm going to change that to 10. And these default values are the values that come up when you first start it. Now, if I build it and look at the parameters, the reason it's not changed this is because I need to get rid of the instance and re-add the instance. And by doing that, it reflects the changes that I've put in those parameter settings. Now, if I go back to the cBot, I want to execute a market order here now. So I'm going to go back to my sample and the break even. I'm just going to take where it executes a market order, and I'm going to use that code and copy and paste it into the other one. Oh no, that's a break even, so we can't use this one. This just breaks evens. We need something that actually opens up a position, which is this one, execute market order. So what I'm going to do is copy this. Actually, I'm going to copy all of this. It's probably easier. Actually, we need all of this method. Okay, I'm going to copy all of this method and just go to it in more detail. I mean, my original plan when I was going to do a cBot overview for you was not really to go into detail and show you how to build a cBot that executes a market order. I was only actually going to show you the structure of the cBot, but it's kind of got into now me actually showing you how to do this. So what I'm going to do is just copy all of this, these two, and make it a bit more simple so I don't confuse you. Okay, and go back to the code. Now in on start, I'm going to put that code that I've just copied. I don't need the result. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through and explain this code to you as easy as I can. Now, what it's going to do is this. When the cBot starts, it's going to, this line of code here will actually get the lots that we're using. So if you're using lots, you need to convert it into volume. The volume needs to be used when you execute a market order. So if you are going to actually use lots instead of volume, then you need to run this line of code to convert the lots into volume. Okay, so this will actually return from the symbol. It does quantity to volume in units, and the initial quantity is 0.01 is the default value. That'll turn this into volume, which will be 1,000. Then you execute the market order. Now, by executing a market order, that's telling the trading platform to submit an order to your broker with the direction of the trade. So if I actually open up this parenthesis, you've got the direction of the trade type. Now we want to call that trade type buy. So we're going to open up a buy position. The symbol that we're going to do, which is the symbol name, which is the symbol that we're using now. The volume in units, this is the volume in units that have been converted from the lots, which is 1,000 units. The name, it's got their martingale. If I actually, there you can actually says it's got the label name. We're going to just call it my test. My cBot, keep it the same. And get rid of that comma. And then the stop loss that you're going to use in the take profit. And it's got to be the same as that with an S at the end. Okay, so what it's going to do now, I'm actually going to put some comments in so you'd understand it. So if you want to write comments, you just do 2 forward slashes, and I'll say convert lots to volume. Okay, that's converting the lots to volume, and this is submitting a market order. I got a loud keyboard, sorry. Okay, so if I build this now, what it's done is we've got a very basic cBot that will allow you to specify the lots, the trade size. It will allow you to specify the stop loss and take profit in pips. When the cBot starts, it will convert those lots into volume, which is a volume to use for trading, volume in units, and then it will then execute a market order, a buy order, for this symbol, for this volume, which is 1000. The label name will be my cBot. I'll show you that in a minute. And it'll have a stop loss of 10 and a take profit of 10. So now what I'm going to do is go to the cBot instance there. Now, if I click play, what this is going to do is run the cBot. And when it runs, it's going to run that on start. And when it runs this on start, it's going to execute a market order. So here we go. So one market order was submitted. Euro JPY, 0.01 lots, buy position, take profit and stop loss. Now the take profit and stop loss is shown as price there, but we've used a 40 pip takes profit and stop loss. So if I was to actually zoom in on here, get rid of these indicators, we probably needed a bigger one. It's only using a 10 pip stop loss and take profit, so it's quite narrow for this. So what I'm going to do is close the position, and I'm going to change stop the cBot and change the parameters to 60 and take profit of 50. Start again. And there you go. You can see this take profit and stop loss now. Take profit is 50 pips, stop loss is 60 pips. So that's it. It's a very simple way of doing it. A bit more of an overview of the cBot that I wanted to show you. I have to stop the cBot, go to the code. But this is just a good way of actually showing you the structure of a cBot and how to actually get started. If, for example, that I wanted to execute a market order every time a candle closes, then I would remove this line of code. Actually, I'm going to remove the whole lot. If I go back, do Control Z, it will go back. I'm going to copy the whole lot, take it out of the on start and put it in the on bar. Now what this will do, if I run this, when I start the cBot, nothing will happen. But every time a candle closes or on bar, it will actually execute a market order. So if I start it now, and go to the chart and stop it again. If I change the time frame to 1 minute, okay, and start it, this means at the end of this minute, which is 35 seconds remaining, it's going to execute a market order. While that's running, I'm just going to quickly show you something else. So this video that we've done here is part of a collection of videos that we're doing as part of our algorithmic trading school. And we've started by showing people how to install cTrader. And once you've installed cTrader and you've got it up and running, that's for anybody that has not actually used cTrader before. Show you how to actually install Microsoft Visual Studio, which is an editor we'll use later on. You won't need that for this. We have a video also which is an overview of cTrader Automate, which is what we're using now. And there's a video showing you an overview. There we go, it should open an order now. So that, if you look at the bottom down here, top bottom right, this is a countdown for the bar, and it counted down to 0, and it executed a market order when it got to 0. Okay, so that's just a brief example showing you how this works. I'm just going to close the order. So again, if you were to put this on the on stop, it means when you stop the cBot, it will actually execute a market order. So yeah, so we've got a lot of videos to help people get started, and there's a lot more videos on the way to actually explain algorithmic trading in more detail. So this is our YouTube channel. If you're not watching this on YouTube, come to the channel. If you scroll down, there's videos here about cTrader platform, how to use cTrader. The coding will help one here, which is how to use cTrader Automate. We're going to put this video in here, which is a cBot coding overview, how to code Telegram alerts, and other videos. So the whole idea is to add more videos as we go along. But this video is part of a requirements video, which is like what everybody should look at first before they start joining our algorithmic trading course. So there is an algorithmic trading course which is free, and the first course that we're doing is how to code Telegram alerts for an indicator. So the idea is to show you an indicator, how to actually use an existing indicator and code to actually send Telegram alerts when certain conditions are met for that indicator. So these are instant messages to your mobile phone. once you learn how to do this, you can apply this to other indicators on the cTrader platform. That means that you could literally start, if you're not a programmer, the whole idea is to help you learn how to program so you could really get the best out of a trading platform. That's where cTrader excels over MT4, TradingView, or any other trading platform, is the fact that it's one of the best algorithmic trading platforms out there. And right now, this algorithmic trading is the area that all traders should be looking at. It's definitely a key area over everything else. So if you're not familiar with who we are clickalgo.com. We offer trading tools, we offer trading tools, software, education, and a custom development service. So we also offer a development service. If you've got a complex strategy that you want us to build for you, we'll do it. Just come to here and go into programming and go to our coding service. Also, we've got the education here for the algorithmic trading courses. If you scroll down, we're putting all our content here to help people get started. And we've got a lot of videos here that you can look at. One last thing, if you need support for this video, so if you're having problems understanding how to create a new cBot, we won't help you write your algorithms or anything like that, but we'll help you in explaining any questions you might have regarding this video, not any other video at the moment. So if you go to Algo School requirements, we're going to put this link here for this video. So on the link, you can actually click on it and ask questions about the overview of the actual indicator. Okay, that's it. If you do like the trading course, if you do like the video, please give me a thumbs up, because that really helps us with the algorithm on YouTube, and it really helps us grow as a company. So a thumbs up would really help a lot, actually. Thank you very much.